Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast with your host, Adam Emmert.
I'd love to draft a tackle and not worry about where I'm going to move him to because he's going to succeed a freaking tackle.
And Brandon Schultz.
Is Steve Keim the Brian Williams of general managers? I say yes. And for that, do better.
Go Hawks!
On a quest to own the West, yippee-ki-yay, we make the ground shake. On game day, 12 man, yeah, he's feeling it is vital. The Seahawks come.
Welcome to the Seahawkers podcast. I'm Brandon Schultz, member of the Military Seahawkers. Joining me, my good buddy, and Montana Seahawker Adam Emmert.
Brandon, it is an absolute pleasure to be here to do the pod today with you on this gloriously sunny day here in Montana. And to celebrate this amazing bye week that has just gone by for the Seahawks that has found us right back where we belong. First place in the NFC West.
It feels so right being back in first place and seeing the Rams right below us in the standings. 49ers drop all the way to the bottom after their loss to Arizona. And a winnable game. The Arizona Cardinals, Adam, could easily be in last place in the division right now.
Oh, easily. The 49ers might as well have just mailed them that victory. Like, just been like, here, would you like a victory? Because we'll just give you one. By making the most back-breaking turnovers and dumb mistakes at the worst moments ever. And Cardinals eked one out over Blaine Babbert in the Niners. That was not a great showing for them. Also, let us all know that Drew Stanton still stinks.
Yeah, he does. Drew Stanton still stinks, and that's okay. You know, the longer he can be in there, the better. But they do have David Johnson, so that's what got him by the 49ers. Want to start out with an email this week, Adam.
Okay.
One from Russ in Denver says, hey, guys, in preparation for this week, it's fantastic that we dominated the bye and go into week 6 back in first place. Thanks, Case Keenum and Jeff Fisher. You are great. With that said, after what the Falcons did to the Broncos, Adam's proclamations strike again. Not nervous about this week, though, as the staff has an extra week to prepare, plus asking a team to fly west in back-to-back weeks is a lot. Go Hawks from Russ in Denver. And this is where I wanted to start off, Adam. The Falcons, in fact, not flying west in back-to-back weeks. They're in Seattle right now and practicing all week in Husky Stadium, I believe. So, the Falcons taking a little bit different approach and starting off the week by just traveling from Denver to Seattle, keeping the plane flight short and practicing locally.
Yeah, interesting approach. It's not the first time that's been done. I can remember other teams doing that on long trips to the opposite coast, back to back like that. I think it's probably for the better for them, to be honest. I mean, it keeps you focused on the task at hand. Everybody gets to kind of bond more as a team as you're kind of flying high like you are right now if you're the Falcons. And Dan Quinn knows the area. Yeah, I mean, he knows exactly what he's doing that way. I think it'll be fine.
I thought it was cute, too, that they sent flowers to all the players' wives saying, thanks for letting us go for a week. And
oh, really?
Yeah. It was,
hey, man, happy wife, happy life.
Yeah, that's right. I just thought it was kind of a nice little touch for them to do that. So we're going to be talking about the upcoming game against the Falcons this week. I want to talk a little bit, Adam, about Russell Wilson. And we had a lot of Russell Wilson topics last week, but I think there's some more things to talk about with Russell and some of the emails.
There will never be an end of things to talk about with Russell, ever.
He's our quarterback, man. Mm-hmm. And I want to talk about Marshawn Lynch and whether or not the Seahawks are missing Lynch much at this point, and just maybe some of the team dynamic around that. And we have an interview with Doc Scott McElroy, drum and bass DJ, travels around the world, big Seahawks fan. Been trying to have him on the show for a while now. Going to have him on this week. Also, we have a couple new members of the flock to get to. We have some 1-year anniversaries for the flock, which is cool.
Wow,
we've been doing that long enough now. And emails, we have a call, and of course, do better and better at life.
You bet, man. All right. Well, what do you say we get into this Atlanta Falcons matchup, the much anticipated now matchup with the fellow birds of prey? Are you shaking in your boots for the mighty Atlanta Falcons, Brandon? The mighty Atlanta Falcons, who just took down a Broncos team who's defending world champions.
As Coach Carroll said, this is a hot Atlanta Falcons team right now. You know, Adam, this is going to be the 5th time the Seahawks have faced the Falcons since Pete Carroll became coach. But this is just the first time since defensive coordinator Dan Quinn has been coaching the Falcons. And the 2 games that Seahawks fans probably remember the most, of course, is the loss to the Falcons in 2012 in the playoffs, you know, Russell Wilson's first season. They got revenge the very next year in the Georgia Dome, winning 33-10. And just a couple months later, they won Super Bowl 48. But historically, the Seahawks haven't played well against Atlanta in Seattle. And Matt Ryan led the Falcons to wins in both 2010 and 2011. So this isn't going to be the first time Matt Ryan has experienced the noise of CenturyLink Field. And the last time that the Seahawks beat the Falcons in Seattle was actually back in 2005. They did it twice, once in week 17 of the 2004 season, and then again in September of 2005. So not a lot of history, especially when you look at wins in Seattle.
For the Seahawks against the Falcons?
Yeah.
So, you know what all of that says to me? It's not 2016. They're not facing this defense. They're not facing this quarterback all those other years. Man, I tell you what. Everybody's all the big bad Falcons. Here they come. Blah, blah, blah. Dude, we thought this was a matchup? Mismatch. That's what I say. To quote Richard Sherman here, this isn't even going to be close.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we saw in the Falcons game against the Broncos, because if a Seahawks fan was doing their due diligence last week with the Seahawks having a bye week, the Falcons and the Broncos were in that same time slot. So I hope you reserve that time slot to watch and see just what the Falcons did against the Broncos, because one of the good things that Atlanta did in that game, one of the things that really helped them out, I thought, Adam, was that they got out to an early lead. And getting out to an early lead against the Denver Broncos defense, seeing them gamble on 4th and goal on the goal line to get up 7-0. Yeah, that was really key, really important to the Falcons getting up early and putting Paxton Lynch, a rookie quarterback, in the hole early.
Well, and that's kind of the crux of the whole game right there. Is basically Paxton Lynch was behind the 8 ball early. And I'm sorry, a guy who is just not ready to play in the NFL. I said it at the draft. I've been saying it all year. I mean, Jared tried to bring it up on the pick show that maybe, it was a good pick. Jury's still way out on him. And then you look at him play a full game like he did against a putrid defense in the Atlanta Falcons, a putrid defense. And he looked completely lost out there. Look, congratulations, Atlanta. You stopped a rookie quarterback for 1 game. Well done. I'm sorry. Vic Beasley had 3 sacks in his entire career until last week, and then ends up with 3.5 in 1 game. Yeah, what do you think the odds of that happening again, Brandon?
Well, when you have at least a competent right tackle, Gary Gilliam, as opposed to a likely injured and suspect right tackle in Sambrailo, I think he was hurt because that dude got pushed around, the right tackle for the Broncos. He ended up on his back so many times.
Oh, absolutely. In the second they took Sambrailo out of there and they put in, I don't know, whatever other guy they put in there.
Yeah.
Like basically the offense started clicking a little bit and they closed the gap in that game to a 7-point game when it was all said and done. This high flying Atlanta Falcons offense scored a whopping 23 points against the Broncos when the Broncos were playing one-handed. They didn't even have an offense. How can you hold a team to much less than that when you don't have any complimentary football? The Broncos were never able to move the ball. Now, on top of that, the Broncos didn't run the ball because they never run the ball. As much as Bronco fan wants to tell you week in, week out, hey, we're starting to run the ball better. No, you're not, and you never will because you don't. Call me when you do it for a half a season because they did it for 2 weeks at the beginning of the year, and then they hadn't done it since, and they didn't do it against the Falcons, and which is pretty surprising considering the Falcons are basically middle of the pack when it comes to run defense this year, and they couldn't get the ball moving at all.
Yeah, there were a couple things, and whether or not you say it's credit to the Atlanta defense or just the Denver offense not being able to produce, Denver not good on short yardage against the Falcons, and maybe that speaks to the running game a little bit. But and then red zone offense, Paxton Lynch in the red zone was awful. He could not hit an open receiver. And then on the defensive side of the ball, the thing that really surprised me, there were some passes that Denver dropped from their secondary that they could have picked off Matt Ryan. Had they picked off those passes instead of dropping them, that's the Denver defense that normally keeps that team in the game and able to get some point. If not put points up on the board by returning pick sixes, at least put the team in position to kick field goals and perhaps score a touchdown.
They had multiple chances to intercept Matt Ryan because that's who Matt Ryan is. He played a bunch of cupcakes for his first 4 weeks of the season. Then he comes into Denver, has to face a real secondary, and puts up a couple balls that could have easily been picked. Look, one way to rattle Matt Ryan, and I mean, this is any quarterback, right, is to get pressure on him. We all think about this Seahawks offensive line as being, the worst in the league, right? Because everybody tells us that. And then we look at the fact that the Atlanta Falcons have the best offense in football. Their offensive line must be great, right? And in fact, Pro Football Focus does rate them pretty darn well when you look at them all across the board. Little dirty secret there for you, though, Brandon. Guess what? Matt Ryan's been sacked twice more than Russell Wilson.
Wow.
He's been sacked twice more than Russell Wilson. Think about that for a second. If we have such a putrid offensive line, how has Matt Ryan been sacked 2 more times than Russell Wilson?
And Russell Wilson's not been mobile these last 4 weeks.
No, he hasn't. So that tells me you are able to get pressure on Matt Ryan. And the Seahawks absolutely will with some creative blitzes and things like that from Chris Richard. We've seen him be able to do that. We're going to get a little pressure on him. And look, in the history of the matchup, Richard Sherman and Julio Jones hasn't gone off for 300 yards ever against Richard Sherman. He hasn't even gone off for 200 yards against Richard Sherman. I don't know that he's broken 100 yards. I didn't look that up, but it doesn't feel like the case. Richard Sherman has handled him every time that they've played. It's not like Julio Jones woke up this season a totally different player, or Richard Sherman has either. Richard Sherman's going to be able to match up, just like you saw Aqib Talib match up. Julio Jones was effectively taken out of the game. They beat the Broncos with passes to basically Tevin Coleman.
Yeah. No, and that's really what the Falcons did well against that Broncos defense, right? Was the check down passes to running backs. And that's going to be another, because as we watched that game, there were a couple concerns, I think, that sprouted among Seahawks fans. That was the Falcons' ability to hit running backs and break tackles against the Denver defense, because there were times where the defense was in position, but they couldn't make the tackle. And then, of course, the 3 tight end sets by the Falcons. So if one tight end can beat you, just think if there's 3 tight ends for the Falcons in the game, Adam.
Well, that's fine, but they don't play a lot with 3 tight ends. I mean, that happened a couple times, sure.
Yeah.
But that's not something that caught my attention, because they didn't do a lot of damage doing that either.
No.
What caught my attention was the fact that they did get the ball to the backs, and it felt like Tevin Coleman was beating them all day long. Point of fact is he only caught 4 passes. The other point of fact is they went for 40. 3 of them went for 48, 31, and 49 yards. So
and a lot of that was due to missed tackles.
That was due to missed tackles, and the other thing it was due to is a lot of times, or a couple of those, they run the receivers on a lot of vertical routes, push the DBs back, take that underneath coverage. It kind of sucks up with the receivers going deep, or it sucks back, I guess is probably the better way to put it, and leaving a large void beyond the offensive line. The back sneaks out. You hit him with a check down. Look, Chris Richard isn't stupid. He watched the tape. He's definitely going to have a spy on Tevin. Because here's the other little tell about this. Devontae Freeman is 6th in the league in rushing. He's barely caught the ball. He'll catch a pass now and then. Tevin Coleman, he's like 39th in the league in rushing. But as you can see, he's caught catcher. A lot of passes. So if it's Tevin Coleman in there, they're probably throwing the ball. If it's Freeman in there, they're probably running the ball. That's a pretty easy tell right there, just based on personnel. And the other thing about Tevin Coleman, it wasn't a lot of him coming out the backfield on little swing routes. I mean, there was a few of those, but a couple of them too, a lot of the big ones, came from the fact that they would split Tevin Coleman out as a receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Please do that all day.
Yeah, Jeremy Lane will be all over him.
Jeremy Lane is going to smother that nonsense. We'll have a plan for that. I believe it's running either a lot of nickel, a lot of dime, and whether that's having Kelsey McRae out there or Tyvis Powell or whoever it is, along with Lane and Deshaun Shedd and Sherman. Look, we're just going to treat Tevin Coleman as a receiver. That's how it's going to be done, and it's going to get shut down.
See, I like Kevin Pierre-Louis out there against Tevin Coleman. That's the linebacker, especially early downs when you have 3 linebackers out there, and now that Mike Morgan's out. I think in times when you have 3 linebackers in, Kevin Pierre-Louis is the guy that you put in there to make sure that guy's covered, because you got a speedy linebacker that can match up with the speed of Coleman.
Yeah, and then not make the tackle so he can give up giant yardage down the field.
He's going to make those tackles. I have faith in him, man.
Oh, really? Have you seen any evidence to make you believe that?
Well, not in the preseason, but now it's regular season.
Dude, I am not playing my hopes on KPL to be the guy. Not only that, but look, I know that the Falcons run a lot from under center on first down. That's where they run the majority of their plays. They run it from under center to kind of give you that idea, because they are a balanced offense, right? Run and pass. So try to So try to make it look like, that they're running the ball a lot on first down. Look, I'm just not buying it. We're going to shut down your run game. This is the best run defense that they've seen by far. Denver's not good against the run.
Well, that was one of the things that really surprised me in that Denver game is that first half. I'm used to seeing a very disciplined run team and what that looks like. And Denver for the first half, I didn't see that. Now they got better in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. But that first half, that was rough. And I think that helped make the difference. You look at the run totals for the Falcons. When the Falcons have the ability to run the ball, they do well. And you saw that last season when they got out to their great start, right? They were running the ball with Devontae Freeman having a ton of success. And then the second half of the season, when they started losing every single week, Freeman was barely getting the ball and they weren't getting any rushing yards. And looking here at what they've done so far, that game against Tampa Bay, they only had 52 rushing yards. Every other game since then, Carolina was the only other game where they didn't hit 100 rushing yards. So when they can run the ball, they're a much more effective team than when they don't. And I don't see them running against the Seahawks defense.
Well, consider this. Basically, Seattle's 7th in the league at yards per game, giving up the rushing, and Denver's 22nd. Like, I know that's surprising because everybody thinks Denver D is amazing. Well, they're not that great against the run. They're not going to get anything going on the ground. There's no way. And if you can't get anything going on the ground, that makes you one-dimensional, and that plays right into a secondary that's every bit as good as Denver, and I would argue is better. And look, Seahawks are a better tackling team than Denver as well, because you talked about the missed tackles, man. That was a huge thing in the game. And the other thing for Atlanta, one of the ways that they really do kind of pile on opponents is they're 6th in the league when it comes to turnovers. They're +3. You've seen the Seahawks last couple of weeks. They've been right there, whether they've gotten turnovers with 3 picks against the Jets or they've had the worst fumble luck almost in the entire league. There's been numerous fumbles that have hit the ground that they've created that they haven't recovered. And that's just a luck thing. That will turn. Sure. These sort of things come in spurts. So I don't see Atlanta also getting that big turnover differential that they've basically relied on this season. And the other thing that Atlanta relies on hugely in their offense is big plays. Seattle is huge at keeping down big plays. That is one of the things that this defense does better than anybody. Sure, you may jelly it on us all the way down the field, jelly it right down our throat, right?
Yeah.
But you're not going to get the big play. The thing about Atlanta is in the game against Denver, they only converted 16% of their third downs. They're 17th in the league when it comes to converting third downs. They're not good at it. Everything that they get is off of the big chunk play. And that's something that we're masters at shutting down.
But I did see a little bit of that ability to kind of dink and dunk down the field. And I think they would have done it a little bit more so had Denver not missed tackles and allowing them to get more down the field, because it was those short little dump off passes where they move the ball. I want to talk a little bit about what the Falcons are good at, because up to this point, I know we've been kind of dogging them a little bit.
Oh, I'm going to dog them hard this podcast. I hate them.
You go and you dog them the whole game, but I do want to talk about one guy in particular on the offensive line that improved their offensive line this offseason. Alex Mack, a Pro Bowl center, used to play for the Browns. He's a big addition to their run game. And the other thing that I think Atlanta does well, and I think we're going to see a lot of in this game, Atlanta's good at running no huddle. And you can expect the Falcons to use that to kind of mitigate some of the crowd noise. We've seen it in the past, right, where the guys, they call the plays, get up to the line before the crowd noise can really hit its peak, and that's how they adjust to the noise at CenturyLink.
Oh, please run no huddle. Please run some hurry up, fast tempo, big time, big offense stuff. Come on, please run that. Because every time the Seahawks has faced some high-flying, up-tempo offense, we destroy it. Please, come on. Yeah, let's do that.
Well, you did
Bring
see that
Chip Kelly
in
nonsense.
the Niners game, right? The 49ers tried to run some no-huddle.
I'm saying.
But
you
I will say, Matt Ryan, a better quarterback than Blaine Gabbert. I said it.
Sure. Drew Brees is a better quarterback than Matt Ryan, and they tried that same hurry-up nonsense against us, and that didn't work. Peyton Manning's tried that same hurry-up against us when he was still playing well, and it didn't work against us. Hurry-up doesn't work against us. Yeah, bring it all day. I'll take that all day. All that's going to do is it's going to reduce your time of possession. And when Russell Wilson has the ball and carves you up, we go on those long drives, your offense is never going to be on the field. That weak-ass defense of yours is going to get tired, and we're going to roll up 35 points, and you're going to go home crying back to Atlanta. That's how that's going to go.
Well, Jeff Lamont is going to be happy to hear this, Adam, because he says, "Hi, Adam and Brandon. I know you guys will be talking about this, but it seems like the perfect storm coming. Atlanta puts down both Super Bowl 50 teams, and Coach Quinn knows the Carroll system. Please ease my mind. Go Hawks," from Jeff.
Well, Jeff, I hope some of what I'm saying helps to ease your mind. But look, let's talk about some matchups here a little bit to help ease your mind. You talked about the Falcons' offensive line and Alex Mack being a big addition there, and that has helped solidify things. And they have some great players along that offensive line. But they also have a weakest link, and his name is right guard Chris Chester. Not a good player. And guess where Mr. Michael Bennett lines up in nickel quite a bit?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right over Chris Chester. Is Michael Bennett pretty good? I think he is. I think he's going to eat Chris Chester's lunch all day long. So that was the problem with the Broncos, is that they only bring Von Miller off the edge almost exclusively. You rarely see him on stunts. He basically goes up against that right tackle nearly exclusively. And look, Michael Bennett moves all around. You're going to see a lot of games played right in front of Chris Chester, whether that's stunts between Averill and Bennett or Bennett moving around. You're going to see a lot of that sort of thing. They're going to exploit that matchup big time.
Well, let's go over to the defensive side. One of the great players that they have on defense, Desmond Trufant, Marcus's little brother. And yes, I would expect that that's the guy that you put on Doug Baldwin. But then that leaves Robert Alford, who is the Brandon Browner of the Falcons defense, who's willing to penalize, take a pass interference penalty. He's one of the top 5 guys in penalties for corners. That's the guy that you can throw at and potentially get some big pass interference plays. And, that's kind of where you want to attack on the Falcons secondary.
Dude, I'm not even shying away from Trufant. If I'm Russell Wilson, they were open.
Oh, Baldwin on Trufant. I mean, I like that. Baldwin can get open. I'm just saying that's your star of the Falcons defense, in my opinion.
He's their best player, yeah. And I don't even know if he's a Pro Bowl level player. I mean, he's on the cusp of it. But look, there were receivers open against Trufant, and Paxton Lynch was just late with the throw because he was a rookie and everything was moving too fast for him. There's a lot of time he just stared down a dude and then he'd throw the ball way too late and they're able to knock it down. Russell Wilson, what does he do? Throws the ball in under 2.37 seconds on average. He's going to get out there and just whip that ball around there. You think Vic Beasley's coming after him again and getting a bunch of sacks? It ain't happening because the ball isn't going to be in the pocket.
Yeah.
It's going to be gone. Decision made, accurate throw, good night and good luck. On top of that, a lot of their linebackers were really banged up last week. I think they were down 4 linebackers. Now, they get a few of those dudes back this next week. I think, one of them is Paul Worlow, and I think he's one of their better ones. But again, how healthy are these guys really? I mean, you're rushing back to come and play in Seattle. I don't know how healthy they're going to be. Look, they also lose Sean Weatherspoon earlier in the season. He's gone forever. He was a very good linebacker for them for a long time. But there's not one player on that Atlanta defense that I even come close to fearing.
I think the biggest concern for me watching that Denver Broncos and Falcons game, I wanted to see if Matt Ryan was just going to light up that secondary the way he did against not so great secondaries up to this point. And he didn't do that. So that gave me a lot of confidence knowing coming into this game, when you have a team that can stop the run, when you have a team with a secondary that is every bit as good or better than Denver's, you would expect that the Denver pass rush would have been a little bit better. that was the one area where I expected to see more. I thought we were going to see more pressure on Matt Ryan in that game, and we didn't.
No, you didn't. I don't know if that was the way that Wade Phillips was calling the game or if their offensive line is really that great. But look, what you talked about the secondary in the matchup there. When you look at the guys that Matt Ryan tries to get the ball to, you think about the idea, oh, this high-flying offense, they have all these targets, right? Well, basically, you only have to worry about 4 dudes. Number 1 is Julio Jones. He comes in, he leads pretty much every other receiver on their team by close to twice as many targets. He's been targeted 42 times so far this year. Your next 3 leaders, Mohamed Sanu, Jacob Tammy, and Tevin Coleman. And they're all in the 20s. They're all within 2 or 3 targets of one another.
Yeah.
So basically, Tammy, most of his receptions have come in the red zone, which has been a bugaboo in the past, but we've kind of shut down tight ends to this point of the season. I think that's a guy that, especially knowing coming in.
Knocking on wood. Adam is knocking on all the wood right now.
Dude, I'm just telling you what I've seen through 4 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's a guy that when you look to shut him down, you got to pay extra special attention to him in the red zone. That's situational football. That's something that the Seahawks will know coming in. Tevin Coleman, when he's in the game, you know he's a receiver more than he is a running back. So you're going to get a guy on him like Lane or Tyvis Powell or even Deshaun Shedd. Like, they're going to do something to get a real cover guy on him because he is fast. He's very fast. So you got to get a smaller guy on him. I don't think KPL can even keep up with him. Like, he's that fast. And then you got Mohamed Sanu, who's basically a possession receiver. Deshaun Shedd's going to eat him alive.
Yeah. No, like, that's what I like that matchup because you can put a guy like Deshaun Shedd on Sanu and have it be a one-on-one. And like you saw in the matchup with the Jets, where you had Sherman on Brandon Marshall, you could also give him a little help too and allow Sherman to take a couple chances once or twice a game.
That's just it. I mean, look, Matt Ryan is going to test Richard Sherman a little bit.
Oh, you know he is.
And hey, man,
Matt
that's
Ryan
your own risk.
Also better than the Beard.
Sure, he's better than the Beard, but if you keep trying Sherman, you're going to get burned.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen. Now, I'm just curious. I mean, the one thing when I sat down, like, am I going to see the Atlanta team that scored 24 points against the Bucs in lost, or 23 points against the Broncos and won? See, that's the thing. They lost to the freaking Bucs. Did you see the Bucs on Monday night this last week, Brandon?
That was bad.
It's one of the worst football games I've watched in a long time.
Like, they had to allow the Panthers gave them that game. Derek Anderson gave that game to them on a silver platter, throwing into double coverage in the end zone when he had a wide open receiver underneath toward the end of the game. And yeah, that was not a good game to watch. They let
Jameis Winston, who is going to be an all-time chucker when it's all said and done. He's a total chucker.
Sure.
Like, he throws picks like they're going out of style. The only guy that's throwing more picks is the Beard. Like, Winston throws a lot of picks. He threw the ball all over the place on that Atlanta secondary. You think Russell Wilson's going to do a little more than that? Look, man, Russell Wilson's feeling better after this last bye week. He's looking normal in practice. I heard G. Scott on the Brock and Salk show that he was talking to a few of the guys, and basically they said teams best be scared.
Yeah,
because the Seahawks are getting right at the right time, and things have come together. This is going to be a bloodbath, dude. This is going to be a bloodbath, this game. I can't wait.
So what do you think that this is going to be the type of high scoring game? Are we going to see, say Pittsburgh and the Seahawks last year? Is it going to be that type of shootout, or is it going to be more of a defensive matchup?
I think it's going to be, who did Pittsburgh play last week?
They played,
I don't know who they played, but they won. It was like Sunday night or Thursday. I don't know. It was one of the night games, right? And they won like 48-3. That it's going to be a high scoring game for one team, and it's going to be a defensive slugfest for the other. Atlanta's going to get trounced in this game. We're going to win by 3 scores. I predict we win by 17 points.
Wow, that's a strong prediction.
Dude, I couldn't feel more strongly about this. I feel because you know what this Falcons team is? We've seen this team before, and it looked an awful lot like the Denver Broncos in Super Bowl 48. This is the same team.
Mm-hmm.
but even worse defensively.
I don't know. The Broncos defense in Super Bowl 48 wasn't very great.
It was better than this.
The Steelers beat the Jets 31-13.
Oh, that's what it was. Well, there you go. That's about how this game's going to go.
You like that as a comp. Okay.
I do. There's just, they say this is a matchup. Mismatch. This is a terrible game for the Falcons.
Okay. Well, I'll give the Falcons 20. How about that?
Wow, man. I think you just pissed off a few people in the LOB.
I know. Well, I want them to be pissed.
Good.
Because, they can't be given, if they want to have the top defense come the end of the year, from what I'm seeing from the Vikings, they're going to have some competition for being the top scoring defense.
Yeah, they do have some competition in that regard so far. It's 25% through one season. Seahawks have done it for 4 full seasons. So, I'm gonna take a little time to crown the Vikings in their amazing defense.
Sure. Well, I do want to talk more Russell Wilson, and we have an interview coming up with Scott McElroy, otherwise known as Doc Scott, DJ that travels around, and he's a big Seahawks fan, and we're going to bring him on the show. If you're going to the game this weekend in Seattle, make sure to check out SeahawkersPodcast.com/tickets and get your tickets to the Atlanta game through Ticket Network. They kick back 12% of the sale to the show, or you can go to SeahawkersPodcast.com/geek, and that'll take you to SeatGeek, and you can see kind of what the best value is for tickets if you want to get a little bit closer. SeahawkersPodcast.com/geek will get you there.
Oh, very cool. All right, man. And we get a little kickback on that, right? Like it helps support the show.
That's right. And you get to go and you get tickets to the game, something you're going to do anyway.
Exactly. So, yeah, if you're doing it anyway, I mean, help a brother out. I mean, I can't sit here and bring you all this facts, reason, and logic about how we're going to destroy the Falcons this week, without being able to pay some of the podcasting bills.
And now you can go to the game being confident in a win based off of the logic Adam has laid out for you.
Exactly. They suck. We're awesome. What else did you need?
All right, let's talk a little bit of Russell Wilson. We have an email here from Roger in Chicago. It says, I have a question for you about Russell Wilson. He was deservedly praised for his pocket passing performance against the Jets. We can speculate that he ran less and stayed in the pocket more against yet another team with a major pass rush because of his injured ankle and knee. My question is, do you think it's possible that Russell Wilson is better as a quarterback with less mobility, is not having the ability to escape the pocket, forcing him to step up, look downfield, and find open receivers as on the play to Tanner McAvoy? In prior years, he's been criticized with exiting the pocket too quickly. Perhaps being hobbled is a gift, not an obstacle. Would love your thoughts. From Roger.
I love this email, because I think you hit it right on the head. I think it is a gift in a way that he's been forced to play like this for a game or two, because it has forced him to play the game more as a pocket passer. And what's cool about it is it was always in him. You knew that he had that ability. I mean, we saw it at the end of last season. Now he just had to rely on it. And so it just took, again, playing one-handed a little bit. And it did. It sharpened his skills a little bit. It's a lot like they say when you lose a sense, right? Like you lose your sight or your hearing or whatever, that the others become heightened. He loses the ability to run around a little bit, and his ability to just, zone coverage, shred. Oh, man coverage. Oh, here we go. Here's my matchup. Third progression, shred. Yeah, he's got it. And it totally heightened his ability. And what's awesome about it is now he has that confidence in that ability, right? Because he's had to do it. And I think that's going to be nothing but a bonus going forward for his career.
Like you were saying, this does give him some practice, though, at limiting his ability to run, right? Because that's not something that you practice. That's, if you have an ability, you're going to use it. And everybody's knocked him for being a short quarterback all his life, but he has a lot of practice playing short. I don't think he has a lot of practice with limited mobility. So I think what we're hearing from him and seeing from him is that now he's seeing that he sees this now as an opportunity. And you've heard him say, he said that this is what it's going to be like when I'm 42. So he's kind of embracing that ability he has right now to limit himself and see how he can perform with that. I think he's going to be better once he recovers. He's still going to run around, but now he's going to have that ability honed to maybe just stay in the pocket just a little bit longer.
Well, it just gives you another option, man. And he just keeps getting better and better and takes even adverse situations and turns it into an advantage. And here we are looking at it right now. It's amazing.
I tell you what, if we only get the version of Russell that we saw against the Jets, and if we only get that for the next 15 years, I think we're going to forget about that Super Bowl loss to the Steelers.
Yep, I think so. One other thing that I thought was really cool about Russell is listening and hearing about his he calls it prehab, right? The pre-rehab and just how much he goes through with all his stretching and all of his different things he does physically to make it so he doesn't get hurt in a way that'll take him out for multiple weeks, right? Because we've seen him take 2 hits now that would have taken most quarterbacks out for at least a week, maybe more than a week. And like we've talked about last week, he hasn't missed a practice. Yeah, which is even more astounding, right? I mean, the Favre streak that is amazing, never missing a game for however many starts. I mean, that was unbelievable. But when you start factoring in the idea of not even missing a practice, not even a practice snap.
Yeah.
Like it's mind blowing. And it's a credit to the fact that he's in his, mid to late 20s where you can do those sort of things. You heal up pretty quick. And then also a credit to the way that he takes care of his body and really has himself in the best position to weather the storm.
Okay, one more thing I want to talk about before we get to our interview. I want to talk Marshawn Lynch, Adam. And I've asked that question. I really like Marshawn Lynch. And in last week's bonus show, we talked about how good offenses like the Patriots flex their game plans based on the matchup, right? Run heavy teams, run heavy against teams that aren't good at stopping the run, pass heavy against bad secondaries. And I think you could make the argument that now that Marshawn is gone, they don't have to worry about forcing it to him, right? Didn't it seem like they struggled with getting Graham and Lynch a good number of touches in that first half last season? A bad O-line play didn't help, but you can only force the ball to so many guys, right? And when you having those 2 guys that you know that you want to get the ball, it kind of limits what you can do play calling wise.
Well, it's tough. I mean, because it does pigeonhole you a little bit. Now, I think part of it is they weren't exactly sure how to use Jimmy Graham within the confines of the offense, and Jimmy being confident and comfortable within the timing of the offense too. I mean, it does take time. I mean, look, Russell Wilson and Doug Baldwin played together for 4 seasons before it's turned into this, right?
Yeah.
Where they really click. Julian Edelman and Tom Brady weren't on the same page, and Julian Edelman wasn't who he was for the first 2 or 3 years of his career. I mean, before he turned into Wes Welker Dose. I mean, look, it takes time to develop that chemistry. So I don't know if it's so much a function of having to force a ball to one guy or the other. I think it was more a function of Jimmy not being comfortable in the offense. But the idea, though, is that when Marshawn is the heartbeat of your football team, when you play a team, say like we did last week in the Jets, you may continue to pound the ball into a defensive front that you wouldn't ordinarily do. And what it allows them to do without Marshawn being there is to go ahead and say, all right, well, C-Mike is only going to get a handful of carries and Russell Wilson's going to, torch him down the field, which, again, we could see a lot of that this week with Atlanta being 26th against the pass.
Right. It opens up, and I don't want to say that it's a better team without Marshawn, but it gives your coordinator a little more flexibility within the play calling, I think.
Well, that's why it's a little easier to have a great franchise quarterback that you play around rather than a running back that you play around. You know what I'm saying? Like where your offense revolves around. You just have more options. And I mean, because really to get it to the running back, it's a swing pass out of the backfield or hand him the ball. Where with the quarterback, I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with that, especially a guy mobile like Russell Wilson. So, I think it's just different. It's not better. I mean, Beast is an amazing player. Brought us a ring. I'll love Beast forever. I mean, all timer for sure. But it's a new dawn. It's a new day. Everything that has a beginning has an end. That's gone now, and this is what we're doing now.
I like it. It's just different.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like when mommy brings home a new daddy. He's not your dad. You always have your dad. It's just now you have somebody like Tim Kaine, your stepdad. You know.
Well, on that note, what do you say we get to our interview with Scott McElroy? Doc Scott, really glad he could join us and talk Hawks. This is something that we've been trying to make happen. Doc's a busy guy, and we made it happen this week, Adam.
It was a lot of fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it.
This week, we welcome to the show Scott McElroy. He's also known as Doc Scott for music fans that may know him from Nasty Habits. He's a drum and bass DJ and music producer from England. I know he's been listening to the show for a few years now, so it's really cool to have him on. You might know some of his well-known tracks like Here Comes the Drums, Shadowboxing, especially if you're a drum and bass fan. Scott, welcome to the show.
Brandon, Adam, it's a pleasure to be on your show. It's a little bit surreal, but I'm very happy to be here.
Well, I got to say, it was a little bit surreal when I ran into you at one of the games. I think it was last year, too, because, we've been going back and forth. We've read your stuff on the show, and, I've tuned into your Future Beats radio show that you do and you have up on SoundCloud. So, getting to meet you in person, it's just kind of surreal for all of us, I think.
Yeah, that was such a cool thing because when I was in Seattle last summer, I as you guys know, or especially you, Brandon, I go to the States and I do like a 2 to 3 week tour every summer, and I have a lot of good friends in the Seattle area. And last year when I was there, they said, hey, we've got tickets to 2 of the games. We have a spare ticket. If you can get out here later on in the year, you can have it at face value. And I think the face value, there was something, I think last year where they put a load of an extra tickets on sale and they were selling them like super cheap. They were like $45 or something like this. So they were like, if you can get out here, you can have one of the tickets and come with us and it'd be really cool. And so I kind of looked at that, getting a flight and a hotel for a couple of nights and, literally just going there for the weekend, for the Sunday and Monday. And I got a really good deal. So I kind of went out there, but I kept it low key because I didn't want to kind of shout that I was going in case something went wrong or I got there and the ticket wasn't there or something. And then so I literally didn't want to talk about it publicly until I got in the stadium and I knew it was 100%. And that's when I kind of tweeted out, hey, nice way to spend a Sunday afternoon. And then you tweeted to me saying, hey, are you here? And I was like, yeah. And so that wasn't also like the whole thing was like beyond surreal because I'd been to the stadium a good few times. Like I say, I have a lot of good friends in Seattle. They know people that work at the stadium. So whenever I've gone there in the summer, I've gone there, they've taken me around. I've been in the locker room, been in the boxes. The first time I went there, they let me go on the field and someone threw a ball and I caught a ball in the end zone, but I'd never been there for a game. So to actually be in there for a game and then you tweeted me and you came and met me at halftime. It was an amazing experience. And then to bump into yourself as well was cherry on the cake.
So that being your first experience on game day, Scott, give me a sense, because everybody kind of has their own story when it hits them, when they hit the stadium and the noise kind of starts. Like, what was kind of your impression? How does it compare to maybe, say, some of the bigger soccer venues or something like that in England? Well,
the difference is the noise is constant. You go, I mean, I've been to lots of different kind of sporting events and, a night game, a Champions League game at Old Trafford, that's my team, Manchester United, has an amazing atmosphere, but it's different, and I've always imagined, I watch the Seahawks every Sunday and you watch the home games and everyone talks about the noise, but actually when you're there and you're part of it and you're actually making the noise, that was incredible. It was an amazing experience. It's something that will stay with me forever. And I think that the thing is, we got to the stadium quite late, and I actually ran up the stairs as they were kind of reading out the names of the players. So I didn't even have any chance to kind of, get to the set and get my seat, take it in, take a deep breath. I literally got into, I was coming up the steps, finding my seat as the players were running out and the fireworks are going off and everything. And I was like, right, okay, Jesus Christ, I'm here kind of thing. And I don't even think it really hit me that I'd been to the game until I was on the flight home. I flew home on the Monday morning. The first flight was like 7 a.m. Monday morning, flew from Seattle to New York and then New York back to London. And I think I was on the flight. I was half awake, half asleep. And I was like, I was watching the video. I took a lot of video on my phone. I was watching it on the plane. I was like, oh my God, I was at a Seahawks game. It was an amazing experience. And I always like have a smile on my face when I hear people emailing your show and they're saying, they go into the game, especially when they go into a first game, because I know what that feels like and I know that experience, and it's amazing. I'm hoping to get back out there this year. I especially want to try and go to the Panthers game for revenge and to put that record, to put that right, because that was, like I say, that was the only thing. That was an amazing game as well, but obviously they kind of went pear-shaped on the last play.
Now, that's going to be a good revenge game too, because after watching the Panthers so far this season, they are not the same team that I think we played in the playoffs last year.
No, they have got a real bad Super Bowl hangover, and if they're not careful, I mean, what are they now? 1-4?
Yeah,
I think. If they're not careful, I think I heard like the commentators speaking about the statistics for 1-4 teams, especially Super Bowl winning teams. Not many of them make the playoffs. So, by time I think we play them in December, and so, by time, we play them, they might be completely out of the running.
Right.
This might be, just a punch bag to beat up on. But yeah, I have no sympathy for the Panthers, especially for Cam Newton. I always say Cam Newton to me is one of those players. If he was my quarterback, I would love him. But he's not, so I don't.
Well, it's kind of like Richard Sherman, right? I think a lot of fans, around the league love to just hate Richard Sherman, but until you have him on your team and you know what he's all about too. And I'm sure Cam's probably a great guy too. Like you said, a guy that if he were on your team, you would absolutely love him.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just, I've heard Adam speaking about it before as well. It's just he's a great player. It's just the celebrating of like every first down, and it just drives me nuts. I can't take it.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd still be a fan of him, even if he was on my team. He's so damn arrogant. I just can't.
I think what it was, like, there was a game a couple of years ago. I was watching, when they were playing at home, and I didn't realize that they, the whole Superman thing, and then they played like the Superman theme song in the stadium when they get a first down, and he does the whole Superman thing, and I was like, oh my God, this is too much. You're indulging this guy. Come on.
Yeah.
So now that the Seahawks, it's the bye week. How are you feeling about the team so far? Like 3-1, is that what you expected going into the season, or not having any idea of what injuries might hit the Seahawks in that first quarter? What's your sense of the team right now?
I'm extremely optimistic, especially the last two performances. They very much look like themselves. The defense for me has been spectacular. They have been on point pretty much from the first game of the season. And, as Seahawks fans, we all know they start slow sometimes, especially like last season, which again, I think was another Super Bowl hangover. They didn't really get going until the middle of the season, but the defense looked really on point. And for me, like, the offense, okay, they were a little bit out of sync, and then Russell got banged up, and then, he got banged up again. But the performance he gave against the Jets was mind-blowing, because the guy was playing on, two banged up legs. And it was like they were different legs, right? It was like his right ankle and his left knee.
Right.
And he shredded the Jets, man. And I know you can look at the Jets and say, okay, well, they're not that great. But still, he was fantastic. And the offensive line as well, giving him that protection. I think, Afidi coming back in was really good. And the bye week came just at the right time as well. I mean, when the bye week was, I was like, I don't really like it when you have an early bye week in the season, because, you're hoping that your team gets off to a good start and then you break the momentum. but goodness me, we couldn't have asked for this bye week to come at a better time. You know, they're 3-1, their tails are up, and then we can just Russell go and rest and have massages for 2 weeks and come back. And I'm super excited for this game coming up on Sunday because the Falcons, I think they're for real. I was just watching earlier today, like again, highlights of the Broncos game, and that's a difficult one to judge because the Broncos had no offense, the quarterback was terrible, and it's difficult. You know, would the defense turn up with the Falcons? Offensive line, they seemed to just manhandle them for the whole game. And it was just like, well, that's not the Broncos defense I'm used to seeing. But it's going to be really interesting this Sunday. It's a real big test for both teams. And I'm super excited for this game coming up because I think after this Sunday, we'll have a real clear indication of are the Seahawks where we think they are and how good this Falcons team really are.
Yeah, I don't think it could have happened really any better way for the Falcons to go in and beat the Broncos now in terms of, because I always wonder going into a game against what appears to be a pretty good team, do you want them coming in off of a loss or do you want them coming in off of a win? How exactly do you want that team and their mentality coming into the game? And so now that the Falcons have beat a Broncos defense that's really good, but like you mentioned, that Denver offense was not good. And so I feel like it could be just enough for the Seahawks defense to really get fired up for and enough for the offense to know that they have to put some points up on the board against the Falcons. And the Falcons defense, I think, is a team that you can put points up on.
Well, look, Brandon, I was texting back and forth with Jared right after the game. And basically his first comment was, congratulations, Falcons, on beating up on a rookie quarterback who's clearly not ready to be in the league. And then we go back and forth a little bit more. He goes, oh, yeah, you guys beat these guys by 2 scores. And basically, I think what you saw with Denver really is the fact that they didn't have any complementary football. The offense couldn't move the ball at all. Yeah. And that just made it really tough on the defense. And despite that, only allowed 23 points. Even though it felt like they got shredded, they only allowed 23 points. And the Broncos were within 7 points by that end of the game. The second they got out Sombrero at right tackle and put in their replacement, lo and behold, Vic Beasley is the same guy he always used to be. But I don't know about you, Scott. I don't look at that Falcons defense, and I'm just not a believer.
It's going to be very interesting. But I was more intrigued. I really wanted to watch, the offense, and they throw a lot, but they also throw to their running backs a lot. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Falcons running backs match up against the Seattle's linebackers and then the secondary, because that's the thing that struck me was just how much they throw to their running backs. I don't know, I have only watched highlights of them, so I don't know if that's how they play every game or whether they particularly targeted the Broncos, linebackers that way. But it's going to be, it's a great test. And like I say, I'm really looking forward to it because it's like one of those games, and Seattle has been this team for the last 2 or 3 seasons where if a team wants to be taken seriously, I think last season we had it with the Panthers and we had it with the Bengals. It was like, yeah, okay, you've had a few wins, but now you're up against the Seahawks. And these teams step up their game as well because they know it's like a marker. If you can knock off the Seahawks, people take you seriously. So I think, the Falcons are going to be coming in, with their tails up, quite rightly so. I think it's going to be a barnstormer of a game. I'm really, really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be interesting to see how many points the Falcons can put up against this Seahawks defense. If they limit them to 20 points, I expect us to win. But I just don't see us giving up like 30, 35, that kind of region of points. It's just not what the Seahawks do. So especially, up at Seattle. But still, it's an interesting game. It's going to be a good one.
All right, Scott, I wanted to talk a little music with you, too, because we can't just have you come on the show and then not talk about your music. Now,
cool.
You've been doing this a little while, actually. And what got you into music in the first place?
As far as I can remember, when I was a little kid, I was fascinated by music. Like I used to watch movies and I would like listen to the soundtracks and, saying, why is this music making me feel emotional? Why is it making me feel, angry or annoyed or frightened or whatever? And this, I'm like talking like 9, 10 years old. And then I got into hip hop and electro when I was like 12, and I'm 45 now, so we're talking like early 1980s. And then the hip hop movement came over from the States to the UK, and you had breakdancing and all that kind of stuff. And then you also had the DJ element to it. And I saw a video of a guy with 2 turntables kind of scratching and cutting and scratching and doing that kind of stuff. That's not what I do, but that's the first kind I saw of it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. He's using music and he's making it different, and he's controlling it and making people dance and stuff like that. And that kind of fascinated me. So I asked my dad to make me a pair of turntables for my 14th birthday. And I just practice all the time is what I wanted to do. When I was 16, I had a proper pair of turntables, and I played out for the first time, I think, when I was like 17, 18 years old. That's just when the rave scene was happening here in the UK. We had these huge, big warehouse parties, and there was like rave music and techno music and everything. And I was already into this kind of music. And so when these parties happened, they were looking for guys that could DJ and had some records and could play. And I was like, yeah, I can do that. And that's how I got into it. And I think the first time I played out and got paid was 1988. And here I am almost 30 years later, and I'm still doing it. So that's basically what it is. It's something I dreamed about doing when I was a kid. I was lucky enough, it's like anything in life. You need a couple of lucky breaks along the way to just be in the right place at the right time. And that's what happened. And if you'd have said to me, like, when I was 18, 19 years old, you'll have a career of this, or, there was no career in it. It was just like, hey, this is a cool thing to do, and you can make some money, a little bit of money, and just do something you like. And then kind of like in the mid 90s, like there was people kind of thinking, hey, there's some longevity in this scene. The scene started growing outside of the UK. I got the ability to travel. First started going up to Europe and to America to DJ and stuff. And I've been doing it ever since. And it's really weird. It's like 2016. And I look back and I'm like, my God, I've been doing this for like 26, 27 years. It's really weird. I'm not quite sure how I got to this point in my life, because it seems just like a mad kind of blur, because there's a lot of traveling involved, meet a lot of people, and it seems to make time go quicker. But I'm loving it. I'm still, I always kind of say when I stop enjoy doing it, I'll look to do something else, but I still enjoy it. I enjoy the traveling. I get to go to some cool places and meet great people. And, it allows me to get out to the States, and I can go to Seattle every year. So, what's not to love?
So how was that when you were first getting started in your teenage years? I expect you probably played some pretty wild venues early on.
Yeah. In like the rave scene in the late 80s, early 90s in the UK, there was like a mixture of legal and illegal parties. And I did both. I did like the legal parties in clubs and legalized venues. And I also did like what we refer to as the warehouse parties, where they were not so legal and they had like thousands and thousands of people. And when you're 17, 18 years old and you're playing for people that are putting on these legal parties, you grow up quickly and you wise up quickly. So it was a baptism of fire kind of thing, but it also helped me grow up pretty quickly. And some of those parties I look back on with extreme fondness. Every now and then I'll see like someone else forward me like a video clip or something that someone's uploaded to YouTube, and it'll be some aircraft hangar party from 1992 or 93 or something. And it's very, very, very strange to see, but also like brings back some amazing memories as well. I have a great fondness for that period of time, because everything now is so regimented. It's so organized, and we're having a tremendous problem in this country at the moment, in the UK, where nightclubs are being closed down. And there was a big club in London, very famous club, that just lost its license, and so everything now is very, very regulated. But back then it was like, it was like the Wild West of going out and clubbing kind of thing. It was, good times.
So traveling around, DJing all over the world, where's the strangest place, or maybe the coolest place, that you've ever watched a Seahawks game?
It would have to be China, Beijing, China. I I think the 2014 season, during the playoffs, like the run to the playoffs, I was in, I did a big festival down in New Zealand on New Year's Eve. And then from there, I went to Australia. And then from Australia, I went to China. And that was the first time I'd ever been to China. And, that's the cool thing with this job that I do. You get the opportunity to go to some amazing places. And I've always been the kind of person where, if I get the opportunity to go somewhere, as long as, it's, I have a good management team and a good agent, and they kind of say to me, yeah, it's all above board. It's a good place to go. It's run right. Then I'll go there, especially if it's somewhere where I haven't been. So I DJ'd in Beijing and in Shanghai. And I got to, if I remember rightly, I flew from Shanghai to Beijing, and then I watched I think it was a Seahawks Panthers game. And I watched it on my iPad. I had the VPN, because that was the thing. And when you're in China, you can't use Facebook, you can't use Twitter, you can't really access really anything without going through the government filter. But you can also get the VPNs, which they kind of seemingly, at least what I was told when I was in China, they turn the blind eye to, as long as you're not using it for, really like any anti-government kind of thing. So yeah, I got to my hotel, and I was watching I'm pretty sure it was the Panthers game, playoff game. And that was in Shanghai, and I went to sleep, and then I went to Tiananmen Square, and I had a Cam Chancellor jersey on. I got a photo in Tiananmen Square with a Cam Chancellor jersey on, which was, I look back on that picture. It was a very, very surreal experience, as most things are. So that would definitely be the weirdest place.
That would have been the game, right, when Cam Chancellor had the interception for the touchdown.
That's the one. Yeah. And I was like whooping and hollering in my room. And I was thinking, oh my God, like, what are these people must think I'm just this like crazy guy? Because when I was in Shanghai, I was in like a big traditional hotel, like a Sheraton or something, So, but when I was in Beijing, it was like a real small traditional, like very, very Chinese hotel. And the walls were really, really thin. So, and I was like hollering and like, you get hype when you're watching the game. And I don't know what they thought. They must have thought I was crazy or something. But that was definitely the weirdest.
Well, the next weirdest place you're going to have to come to do all that, Scott, is Missoula. We actually have some pretty awesome venues that people perform at. You should check into it. And do it during the season. We can watch a game.
I'm definitely going to speak to my agent in the US and see. There must be a handful of drum and bass fans in Missoula.
There are.
And if there are, I will definitely come there. I will make my way there.
Yeah, there's some musicians that pack the Wilma Theater pretty regularly, I think.
They get some pretty good names. I mean, it's become kind of a destination for a lot of folks because it can kind of parlay it into a vacation at the same time. So it works out, I think.
Absolutely.
Well, Scott, really want to thank you for coming on the show, and I'm glad we finally got to do it. And yes, you need to schedule. Talk to your folks and say, the American tours in the summertime is not gonna. It just doesn't work. The fall has to be the ideal time because then you can coordinate it out with your visits to CenturyLink.
My friends in Seattle have been banging on to them about this for the last 3 or 4 years, and they're right. And I say to my agent, they're like, yeah, but we can do more stuff, and then there's these festivals that you need to get back to Europe for and everything. But I think next year I'm gonna have to put my foot down and say no. I want to come. Let's move it to the end of September or October, and it's better for everybody. If I lose a couple of gigs along the way, then so be it. But I can swing by Seattle and then stay there for a couple of days and go to a game without having to fly out there like a maniac after, because that was the thing as well. When I went to that Panthers game, I played in Poland the night before, and I literally played at the club. It finished at like 5 a.m. My set finished at 5 a.m. I went to my hotel. I was at the airport at 6. I flew to London Heathrow, then to Seattle. And it was a bit extreme.
Yeah, no wonder you didn't want to jinx it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Well, Scott, thanks again for coming on the show. And for folks, where can they find you on Twitter? What's the best place to find your music online as well?
On Twitter, I'm at @DocScott31, and best place for my music is SoundCloud, which is the same the same tag, DocScott31. You go to SoundCloud.com as well. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Indeed. Go Hawks.
And go Hawks.
Go Hawks, indeed.
Welcome back from the break. As always, be sure to check out Clinton Bonner's 3 In, 3 Out. You can go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/3i30 and read his blogs every week. And the Seahawkers Podcast is the official podcast of the official booster club of the Seattle Seahawks, and we have some events coming up that I think Seahawkers club members will want to know. October 16th, so this Sunday in Austin, the Austin 12s are gathering at Common Interest at 3 p.m. in Austin for a pink out for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. October 20th, the Montana Seahawkers are meeting up from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Native Grill and Wings in Missoula. And there's a flyer going around, so if you show it to your server that evening, the Native Grill will be donating 15% of the tab toward Montana Food Bank Network.
Oh, very cool.
And that's a Thursday evening, so we'll be there to watch football and watch the Packers take on the Bears.
Oh, yeah, another barn burner. These primetime games have been rough, man.
They've been a little rough. October 23rd, the South Seahawkers chapter is getting together at 5:30 for Sunday Night Football at Round Table Pizza in Burien, Washington. So just a couple things to check out. Like to, if you're in the area, go and join a chapter if you're local to those folks.
You bet. You won't be sad. You'll meet a bunch of like-minded 12s. It's a lot of fun. Definitely encourage you to do that.
All right, let's run down the leaderboard for our Seahawkers Podcast Pick'em League, Adam.
Not me.
It's not you. But if folks want to get in, they can go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/pick'em and jump in anytime. Week 4, we were at, NFL.com was a little late getting out scores, but week 4 winner, Hawks Knox 24. Congratulations. And then this week in week 5, Dude 80 at the week 5 winner with 160 points. A sole winner. There was no tiebreaker. I was impressed by that.
Wow. Well, see, one of the things I realize is that the earlier you get your picks in, you are higher up in the tiebreakers.
Well, the tiebreaker that I use, Adam, is if 3 people tie with the same amount of points, I go and I find out who picked the closest games. So if you had a 1-point loss, then that only counts as 1 point toward your tiebreaker. And gotcha. And so if you pick the loser in like a 20-point blowout, you're probably not going to win a tiebreaker. Gotcha.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. Well, my pick's not that great. Well, they weren't that bad either. It was an okay week. I just haven't getting over the hump of 10 where you get the extra bonus, the 30, 40 point bonus, whatever it is. Like I just there's always one game that just screws me. Like it's just been one week after the other. I was hot during the morning, and then it kind of fell apart
fizzled.
in the afternoon.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people getting their bonus, whereas last week I think we're only 100 points behind the leader. Now about 200 points behind the leader because M Jelly 20 at 720 points, the leader of the pack for that KJ Wright autograph football, followed by Bullbuster, and then you got Themot 12 and Porter's dad coming in third place.
Wow, man, extended the lead. That's embarrassing. How is this happening?
Well,
I don't know.
That's you're not going to get a KJ Wright autograph football if you don't.
I'll pick it up. It's only a quarter of the way through.
You'll get there. Huh?
It's not how you start; it's how you finish, Brandon.
Okay,
that's what it is.
And normally I announce the Patron League winner and the leaderboard, but I'm going to wait and announce that for the bonus show. We got lots of ties, a lot of tiebreakers, and so I'm going to go through those, and we will announce those winners on this week's bonus show. Got a couple new patrons, a couple new members of the flock. And coming in, they'll be joining the Patron League at the $3 level. Eric BZ, welcome to the flock. And then another welcome to the flock to David Berry.
Awesome. Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Gets you in with that Patron League and helps support the show. Still trying to get to that $1,200 a month marker. So we start doing 2 shows a week. So anybody that helps with that, that'd be great. But we've been trying a few different tactics to get you guys.
It's kind of a short list this last week, Adam. We tried Indifference last week, and
I thought last week was a good show too. So that's the thing that's got me perplexed. Like, So maybe it doesn't have to do with quality of the show. I'm not sure.
Well, I think because last week we tried indifference, I think this week, in honor of the political ads that you see popping up on television,
yes,
I think we should try fear-based tactics to solicit donations at them.
So are you going to buy the creeper peeper thing that you can get that like you stick it to somebody's window from the outside and it looks like a human face? Like looking into your window, like, are you going to scare some people into donating that way? It's been banned in Canada, the creeper peeper.
I mean, there's a lot of different things that we could say. I think you're going a little too far. I'm just talking about things that we could tell people, like, you know, this is going to be our last show if we don't get any donations. The Seahawks are going to go 0-12 to finish the season.
See, that could easily happen. The 0-12 thing. I mean, look, and it'd be your fault.
Adam and I won't be able to feed our kids.
Right. And that might be for the better for humankind, but like still, I mean, it'd be bad for them. And probably if you don't help the show, your political candidate that you don't want to get elected will win the election and ruin the country. That's exactly what's happening. So, I mean, if you want to save the country and save the podcast, because, man, I'll stop this tomorrow and just start yelling from the top of my roof how much the Seahawks are awesome instead. Like, I'll do that. That's fine. I don't need this.
You're going to get it out one way or another.
Yeah, it's fine. So donate or else.
Getintheflock.com. That's where you can go. Getintheflock.com, and you'll get weekly bonus shows later in the week. And if we can get up to that level, that $1,200 level, Adam and I will be doing this 3 days a week. And really 4 with the bonus show of our weekly appearance on local radio now.
Yep, that as well. So, and really, basically, it's value for value, right? That's what we say every episode, but that's the whole point. If this really is what we do, do you enjoy this? Did this make you smile today? Did that make you chuckle at least once? Did I make you just a little prouder about the Seahawks at some point today throughout the podcast? Well, then fine. Like, hook a brother up.
I've been to some pretty bad movies that I paid a lot of money to go see. And you know, you walk out of the theater, you can't get your money back. And if you know week to week that you're going to get a good show from Adam and I, then, you know, what's that value worth to you?
Exactly. And especially think about the value of us bringing you shows during the off season, because that's catfish. It's hard.
That is hard.
It's summertime, got things to do. The news is sparse. Like, yeah, we still do it. So it's not even just about the season, people.
That's a good point. That's a solid point.
Yeah.
Well,
I wanted to name my favorite pick'em league name.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I forgot last week.
You did.
So, anyways, all right. So this week, my nomination is for Little Hauschka on the Prairie.
Yes.
Just because it's a great pun. Hey, literary pun. I like it. Yeah, Little Hauschka on the Prairie.
That one. That's been one of my. I've been eyeing that one too.
Yeah, I've been eyeing that one for a while. So there's a bunch of other great ones that I will get to over the course of the season. But whoever you are, Little Hauschka on the Prairie, get us your information. We'll get you a sticker because Lord knows I won't get one.
It's on the way, Adam. Stop complaining.
I checked. It's still not here.
It's totally in my car, and I just have to put a stamp on it.
Okay. So it took a couple of weeks to get it from the desk into the envelope, and now the envelope into the car, and then the car into the post office. That's good. That means we're making progress.
Well, I have for our people in the patron that are members of the flock. I have a stack of envelopes. I have a stack of stickers. I have a stack of stamps. I just have to put all those things together and then get them to the mailbox. So it's so close to happening.
See, if more people donated on Patreon, we could hire an intern to do this stuff.
That's true.
Because it's a lot of work.
That's probably where I would go first with it.
Yeah.
Well, let's get to. We had a review this week from X-Ranger 375. Must listen for all Seahawks fans. Absolutely love this podcast. It's must listen for me every episode. Really love the series on Seahawks fans or Seahawks players every fan should know this summer. I've been a fan since the Zorn days, and I learned a lot. Thanks.
Oh, cool. Well, thanks a lot for the kind words, man. I mean, it helps us out in so many ways. So if you haven't yet written a review, get in there and do it, folks. I suggest you give it 5 stars because that's the most. I mean, if there was 12, you could give it that. But, 5's all they let you do. And I think you should do that because It helps us in the rankings and everything. And look, we want to be recognized as the best Seahawks podcast on iTunes, and that's the best way to do it. The other way that you can do it to help the rankings, if you haven't done it already, and I don't know why you hadn't, hit subscribe. Do it right now. I'm not even looking. Just hit pause right now. Go ahead.
Hit pause, subscribe, or you can go to SeahawkersPodcast.com. You can download one of our apps. You can go to SeahawkersPodcast.com/iOS and get our app for the iPhone or iPad. You can go to SeahawkersPodcast.com/Android. All the Seahawkers Podcast episodes right in that one app on your phone.
Super handy. And look, when you do hit subscribe, believe it or not, that helps us in the rankings even more than ratings sometimes. So, I mean, you don't even have to write anything. You just have to click. And you're listening anyways. Don't kid yourself. So just hit subscribe.
All right. What do you say we get into some email?
Sounds awesome.
All right. First one here from Travis in Spokane says, "Hey guys, I missed watching the Jets beat down as I was driving back from Hamilton to Spokane after a great Grizz win that weekend. It's a bummer about Morgan getting injured, but how cool is it to have our favorite team have two former Grizz linebackers? Jordan Tripp signed from the practice squad to the 53-man roster, Adam."
That is kind of fun. Go Grizz. Look, apparently the University of Montana has become linebacker U. That's who we are now.
Yeah.
Because we're churning them out.
I like
now,
it.
if we could just get one of them to talk to us, that'd be great.
You'd think having the Missoula connections that we would have, we'd have somebody.
I'm a Grizz alum on top of that. We're Montana boys. And you're going to do us dirty like that? Come on, man.
Just come on the show.
Yeah. People should harass them on Twitter about these things.
That's a good point. I think that's the way to get it done.
Yeah. So do that.
All right. Here's one from Chris in Seattle. Says, "Hey guys, I just wanted to thank you for the great Seahawks podcast. I enjoy listening every week during the season. As a lucky season ticket holder for over 20 years, you helped me get more knowledge regarding my favorite team. I love being part of the 12s every game, and I hope I have the ability to keep going for many years to come. I have been through the good and the bad, and I will be a 12 forever. Keep up the great work. Go Hawks," from Chris.
Oh, thanks, Chris. Man, look, that means a lot coming from a 12 who's been doing it since, forever. I mean, season ticket holder for how long did he say? 20 years?
20 years, yeah.
Holy smokes, man. Dude, we're flattered. Thanks, man.
And we got a call from Keith, Adam, Patronus Prime.
Awesome.
Let's hear what he has to say.
Hello, Seahawkers. This is Keith Getover, self-proclaimed Patronus Prime. And I wanted to tell you why I love the win over the Jets. Was it because it proved that the Seahawks can hear Jimmy? No. Was it because it gave me some new nickname choices for Kristen, Centrifuge, Tasmanian Devil, the Human Dreidel, Michael? No. Was it because it proved that you cannot test Richard Sherman with a mediocre referee? No. Was it because of Earl Thomas's sweet dance moves? No. Was it because it proved that tiny kicker shoulder pads on a big bad man can give your opponent concussions? No. It's because before the win against the Niners, my wife went shopping and replaced her entire wardrobe for the season. And I wanted to make sure that she didn't have to do that every week just so the offense would work. So that is why I loved the win over the Jets. And just to translate for Adam, money bag emoji, fire emoji, sweat emoji, relieved emoji, smile emoji. Have a great week, Seahawkers.
So much good stuff in that, Adam.
I hate Keith, but I love him. What is a relieved emoji?
A relieved emoji, is that is there one with a hand on the forehead?
I don't know. Why would I know that? I've never looked into them.
I think that's the one.
That's the one? Okay. All right. Well, I do enjoy the human dreidel, though.
I like the human dreidel. I like the kicker shoulder pads on Bennett because those it's borderline ridiculous, the size of his shoulder pads.
Fantastic. Yeah,
it is fantastic.
Yeah. No, that was a great call. Appreciate it, Keith. Love you and hate you. But you guys can do the same thing. We play them on the show. We just proved it to you. You can go ahead. You can email us. You can record like a little voice memo, like on your phone. You can email it. GoHawks@SeahawkersPodcast.com, or you can call into the show. Yeah. Leave a voicemail.
253-235-9041. And getting Keith's call, it reminded me of something, Adam, and that is that we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of our members of the flock, and so I wanted to give some anniversary shout outs to folks. And I think, Keith, he's been calling himself Patronus Prime, but I think much like the 80s movies Transformers, Patronus Prime is dead now, and now rising from the ashes is Flocktimus Prime.
Wow, I had no idea. This is a lot going on in the world of Patreon.
I know. I like I think we have to call Keith Flocktimus Prime now. That just seems more right to me.
Okay. Yeah. Hey, it doesn't sound wrong. I'll put it to you that.
And I'm a big Transformers fan. I don't know if you know this.
Oh yeah.
Of the real Transformers movie, the cartoon version from the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. No, that was like my favorite cartoon of all time. In fact, when we did the Flock of Donkeys, like the little scene change noise was in that show way back in the day.
That's right. Well, we'll running down the list of some anniversaries. Kofi Poku, thanks for being a member of the flock. Ross Wilberding, Matthew Cogswell, Holly Stringer, Joshua Dunning, Rochelle Mantanona, Dan Pate, Jason Kyler-Yano, David, Casey, John Davison, and DCH, and lastly, Craig Humphrey. Wanted to thank you all for being some of our first members of the flock about this time last year.
Wow. You kind of named all the hits, right? I mean, so many of you guys been with the show for so long, and for us to come up on a year anniversary, I don't know. Is it paper? Like, are we supposed to get him something?
Like a sticker?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Another sticker? Yeah. But no, seriously, you can't thank you guys enough. And the idea that you guys have been with us and donating for a year is really just, it's amazing. And so thank you from the bottom of our heart, for sure.
Absolutely. Getting back to email, we had a Loaf of Brad check in from Twitter. Says, I know Seattle will lose a game they aren't supposed to, but I'm running out of games to be worried about. Green Bay, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Carolina all look bad.
Yeah, no, there's something to that. And the only thing about Green Bay that I'm starting to wonder about is they really have shut down the run all year long.
Yeah.
So this next week, their matchup against Dallas will tell me a lot about if that's legit or not, considering how well Dallas has run the ball. But yeah, I don't find myself shaking in my boots towards anybody in the AFC or the NFC.
And put Arizona in that category too, right?
Exactly. I mean, they haven't played well all year. I mean, Carson Palmer has not played well since he hurt his finger last year. And what, you think it's going to get better after he had his bell rung a week and a half ago? I'm thinking not so much.
Well, speaking of John Davison, happy anniversary to him. He sent in an email, said, I haven't had much news about the Hawks, but I will wait for the pod to come through for that. But I must say how relaxing it was on Sunday to watch football and enjoy it. Apart from my pick'ems disintegrating, that is. I hope the players got some quality time and everyone is healed up and ready to go. What I have noticed is that every year some team hurdles out of the blocks and goes 5 or 6-0 and then folds. It happens every year. So are the Falcons for real or not? We're about to find out, and I think it will be a corker of a game and hope we come out in front. It has also been announced that it will be live on Sky TV at 9:25 p.m., so all of us on this side of the pond will be able to watch live. So go Hawks!
Awesome. Go Hawks, John. And I'm glad that you get to watch it live. That'll be really fun. Now, look, I went off on the front half of the pod. I think the Hawks the Falcons are not even close to for real. I mean,
they might be the winner of that division, though. They might be for real enough to come out of that division.
Congratulations. You won the second worst division in all of football.
But the other question would be, is the Vikings that team that jumps out to a big start? And we're starting to see their offensive linemen drop like flies.
Yeah, because God hates Minnesota.
Yeah.
If you haven't been listening to the Pick Show, I have a whole theory about this. But like every time they keep winning a game, God is going to smite them down another player until they stop winning games. And yeah, they dropped another offensive lineman for the season. What was it? Andre Smith? Was that who it was?
Yeah, the right tackle, right?
Yeah, torn pectoral or tricep, something like that. and out for the season.
So this is why, as a Seahawks fan, you say, yeah, that's great that they're not spending a lot of money on the offensive line, because losing Matt Khalil and then losing Andre Smith, that's like $20 million a year right there, and two guys that they're not going to have for the rest of the year. If you were, as a Seahawks fan, you go, oh, well, that's like, what, $1.5 million between two guys? You're right in your left tackle?
Yeah, 1.4 cents, about that. Yeah.
Right. Here's one from Daniel Weinholtz. Says, hey guys, I need an opinion from you. I told my wife I needed a new wallet. She knows I love the Seahawks, so she got me a nice leather trifold wallet with the Seahawks logo on it. Now I own 2 pairs of Seahawks slippers, 5 jerseys, sticker on my car, Seahawks desk calendar at work, as well as some other Seahawks decor on my desk. I have a 12th man flag flying in front of my house, Seahawks pajama pants, and too many more Seahawks themed items to list. My question is this: is a Seahawks themed wallet too childish? My wife gave me the wallet with a huge smile on her face, expecting me to love it. I thanked her and acted as happy as I could and quickly switched everything over to my new wallet. However, when I pull my wallet at the store now, I cover the logo with my hand because I feel childish about having the wallet. Am I wrong about this? Should I be displaying it proudly? Or am I right and a grown man shouldn't have a sports logo on his wallet? Never mind, the pajama pants and slippers mentioned above. Puzzled in Post Falls, Daniel Weinholtz.
Well, Daniel, fortunately for you, I have exact experience in this exact same manner. And basically, he sent us a picture of the wallet too, and it's a nice tan wallet. Like, it's not even Hawks colors or anything.
Right.
It's just more the logo and the
kind of
team
has the
name
leather
is,
inset look to the lettering, right?
Correct. Yeah, exactly. And so my daughter, a number of years ago, she's maybe been about 8 at the time. She bought me like the nylon trifold, blue and green, like the type of wallet you had when you were 8. And you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
With the Seahawks logo on it. She's just proud as punch. She got it for me for Father's Day. And of course, I put all my stuff in it and I used it right out of the gate. You know what? I didn't cover it up for nobody. I pulled it out. Boom. I pay for all my stuff. I haven't took girls out on dates where I have to go in and go ahead and pay for the meal. And I pull out the Seahawks
ripping the Velcro open.
Totally. Yep. Like doing that. And you know what? I didn't give a crap. Because what are they going to do? Oh, nice wallet, blah, blah. Yeah, that's right. My wife gave it to me. Or in my case, my 8-year-old daughter gave it to me. Thanks. What? Now who's the catfish? Like, so you don't have to cover up your pride for anybody, nobody, anytime. Loud and proud, dude.
Look, if you're asking a couple of guys who get on and talk Seahawks on a podcast every week if we care what people think, then you're asking the wrong people. Because we don't care.
Yeah, we put this out here for everybody to ridicule, and we're just like, well, so what? But yeah, I think it's fine. And not only that, but it was a classy looking wallet, if you ask me.
It was good looking. I didn't think it was gaudy at all.
Not even close. Yeah.
I want to see your desk, though, Daniel, because it sounds awesome.
For sure. Go Hawks.
All right. What do you say we get into some do better and better at life, Adam?
Sounds good, man. Well, I'll start with my do better here real quick. It'll be fairly quick. But I don't know if anybody watched Bills Rams last weekend. I mean, kind of to John Davidson's points, it was nice just kind of flip through games and have no pressure and just watch a lot of different football and kind of get a better feel of some of the other teams. Until I came across a moment of my AFC team, the Buffalo Bills, playing the Rams, and Tyrod Taylor goes out, and primarily a shotgun quarterback, right? Like, he's played out of the shotgun a lot in his career. He should be good at it. Know who the players are. He's been around these teammates for like a while. Like, he knows each and every offensive line, probably even their wives, And not only that, he knows what each of their butts look like. I mean, he's stared at them for how many years now, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's kind of got that down.
That's Bill. That's Ted. That's Jim.
Oh, he's a little firmer. That's Jim. Yeah, exactly. Whatever the first name is. He knows them just by the way their butts look bent over. Like, he knows that. Yet somehow, during the game, lined up behind his left guard instead of the center, and didn't even realize it for the entire until they snapped the ball and the ball goes past him.
Yeah.
Like, he seriously had no clue. Like, dude, how can you do that? And how did Shady, who was standing right to his left, not be like, bro, you're like a little
move
close.
over
like,
one.
Yeah, bump down. Just bump down one. That's it. The ball's not going to come there. And for the center to not have any clue, like you never look back once and be like, wait,
don't they usually look between their legs to see if the dude is back there?
Usually once, where's Tyrod? Nope. T-Mobile be gone. He's behind the wrong dude. Snaps the ball. It was just a disaster. And for that, Tyrod Taylor, know your offensive lineman butts better. Do better.
Do better. Oh, that was one of my favorite plays of the weekend, though. That was a highlight for sure. Well, my do better this week, Adam, in this political season, it gets more clear to me that some people should not be allowed to vote. Yeah, some people say, it's...
You and Mike Rowe would agree, yes.
Well, yeah. Some people say it's your civic duty. And yes, I just said duty. It's your civic duty to vote. But some people clearly aren't responsible enough to qualify themselves to be mentally up to the task of making an informed decision. And Ohio, yes, the entire state of Ohio, I am looking at you, or at least 62% of you. There was a poll, Adam, last week in Ohio.
Okay.
That posed the question: would the number 2 ranked Ohio State college football team win in a hypothetical matchup against the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, the NFL team, the professional NFL team, the Browns? Only 23% answered this poll correctly. Only 23% said that the Browns could beat a college football team. Are you trying to motivate your team before the Pats game? Because it clearly didn't work. And Adam, I would love as much as anybody to see this actually happen, because I want to see the Buckeyes get crushed. I'd start Buckeyes quarterback Terrell Pryor at QB. I'd start rookie defensive end from Montana, Tyrone Holmes, just to show how a Division 1A athlete who is good enough to make a pro team can wear down a 1AA college lineman. And yes, look, Buckeye fan, I know you're excited that Ezekiel's tearing up the league, but that's with an O-line of entire first-round picks. Those are the best offensive line picks that college has to offer, that your running back, your former running back is behind.
Yeah, with 2 or 3 years of development of their body as well, and like building up and getting stronger and learning technique and just doing football 24/7.
Yes, so come on, Ohio. Don't we count on you to decide presidential elections? If we can't trust your judgment on this, you need to do better.
They need to do better a lot, because any college football fan, look, this is one of my biggest pet peeves in the world. I'm not everybody knows on this podcast, I'm not a fan of college football. And the reason I'm not a fan of college football is because it is simplistic football. It's bad football. It's slow football. It really is a whole nother level down from the NFL, by a lot. Like every time I watch a college game, I'm just like, geez Louise. It's like watching an even worse version of Bucks Panthers from Monday night. For me, it's literally that ugly of football. If you think your college team can even touch a professional team, that this is what they do. Every player on that roster eats, sleeps, drinks football, has the best equipment, the best trainers, the best minds in the game, and work on technique day in, day out, while you're going to bring up your amateurs who, work out in their spare time after class and do all that stuff. You're a joke, dude. There is no way your little Big Ten team or your little SEC team ever hold a candle to even the worst NFL team. It won't happen. You're a delusional person. Stop it.
62% of people just willing to be wrong just for pride of their college team, I guess.
You're right. They need to have their right to vote revoked. You're 100% correct.
All right, let's get on to Better at Life.
All right. My Better at Life than Skip Bayless is for a young lady named Kelly McNamara. Now, Kelly is a football player, believe it or not. She plays kicker for her high school team, and somewhere in the Philadelphia area, if I'm not mistaken. And there was a great video of her that came out just this last week. And basically on kickoff coverage, she drills the dude. I mean, lays him out. It's like almost like Earl Thomas fast, like comes out of nowhere and just blows the dude up. Remember when they used to do the jacked up segment on ESPN when guys would get jacked up? She jacked this dude up. It was amazing. I thought it was awesome. And here's her quote. She says, honestly, it's not that I'm not a big fan of attention, but I really didn't think it was that big of a deal until everyone else did. So it really wasn't overwhelming, and I didn't know what to think. I just remember looking at him kind of thinking, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. And then I just tried to knock him out of bounds. She didn't just knock him out of bounds. She figured out what to do. She laid him the bleep out. It was awesome. I enjoyed watching it. So Kelly McNamara, better at life than Skip Bayless.
See, this is like a father-daughter pride moment for you, Adam. Like, I can feel it, as a guy who also has 3 daughters. You have a daughter. This is what you kind of empathize a little bit with the situation.
I remember Isabel, my daughter, being maybe 3-4 years old. Her favorite thing to do would be I'd sit on the floor sitting up, and she'd get a running start from the other side of the living room and just try to lay me out.
Yeah.
Like we do that nonstop. She loved doing that, man. Like, so to see her go out there and compete with the boys in a very physical sport, I just thought that was awesome. Not only that, but to lay the wood to somebody, it was awesome.
That's good. My better at life this week is for Atlanta Falcons running back Devontae Freeman and aforementioned wide receiver Mohamed Sanu. Adam, these guys, because the Atlanta Falcons are in town and have the week to prepare in Seattle leading up to the game, they joined Russell Wilson on going to Seattle Children's Hospital on Monday. So I thought it was cool that they took the day off. They went, and also Tyler Lockett was there too. The 4 guys went around. I saw him. He was on Facebook Live. You saw him tweeting out pictures of the group. I just thought it was cool that you had these guys from another team able to kind of see what Russell Wilson and other Seahawks players are about in their off time. And to go and take that day off and to go with him, because I'm sure there were other guys that went out and just enjoyed the Seattle area. But these guys went and made some kids' lives better going to Seattle Children's Hospital. And I thought Russell Wilson said it best in his tweet with the 4 of the guys, said the game of life is way bigger than the game of football. And for that, better at life than Skip Bayless.
Whatever, dude. You all were fleeced. The only reason they came along was so they could meet Ciara. That's what
she's not in the picture, though. If Ciara were there, she'd be in the picture, unless she was the one taking the picture.
There you go. See, no, you can't give our opponents credit. Come on, Brandon. They're on a different team. They can't possibly be good guys, too.
You're right. Where is the sense of rivalry in Russell Wilson and Tyler Lockett? Exactly. You say, you guys, we are mortal enemies until after this game.
Right.
And maybe this was kind of the way. This is like the Trojan horse. You get them and you get them feeling good about helping out kids, and then they go out and you don't know what they did. Maybe come Sunday, those 2 guys have really bad games. And then you point back and you say, see, something happened on Monday.
Yeah. See, well, all I know, Brandon, is that all the good guys play for the Seahawks, and the other 31 teams is just a bunch of rosters full of scumbags. There can't possibly be good dudes in other cities on other teams. There can't be. They're all right here.
It can't be the case. They are all, they're all a bunch of jerks.
Yeah. They're a bunch of Greg Hardys.
Yeah. Except for the guys that used to play for Seattle.
Right.
Those guys are kind of okay, except for the fact that they're turncoats.
Right. They got tainted, Byron Maxwell, going out just for a cash flow situation.
Yeah. Brian Walters, just, because he likes it better in Florida. I don't know.
He keeps trying to extend his career and keep playing in the NFL. How dare he?
What a jerk.
Well,
we had way too much fun with that.
Yeah, we did. A lot of fun this week. A fun podcast, mainly because it was so awesome to be able to come on this week and tell you all about how we're going to wax the floor with the Atlanta Falcons. This is a fun podcast.
You had a lot of fun with that. I'm not ready to be so confident as you, but I do think
you should. Just wait till Sunday, Brandon.
I know. Well, when they win by 3 touchdowns instead of 2, you can tell me that you told me so.
I said 3 scores. That can be 17 points.
Okay.
Yeah. So technically, that could even be 9 points.
Technically, it could be 6 points.
Oh, yeah. If you want to get real, you're right. So basically, that's it.
They're going to win somewhere between 6 and 21 points or more.
Or more. Yeah, somewhere in there. Bold prediction.
What was that?
There's only one thing left to say.
Go Hawks.
Go Hawks. You suck at me.
If you're going to the game this weekend, be sure to shop around for the best prices for tickets. We all know that going to a Seahawks game can be expensive, so you can go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/geek. That'll take you to SeatGeek, and you'll be able to check out which seats are the best value for where you want to sit. Or you can go to Seahawkerspodcast.com/tickets. That'll take you to Ticket Network, and they will kick back 12% of your ticket purchase toward helping the Seahawkers podcast. Both great places to get your tickets for game day. That's Seahawkerspodcast.com/geek or Seahawkerspodcast.com/tickets. Thank you for helping to support the show. Go Hawks.